Big name pot stops like Acreage, Tilray, and Aurora Cannabis feeling the burn over the past 12 months, but could a big turnaround here be in the works? Let's get to Frank Holland back at HQ with more on this sector. Frank.
Hey there, Brian. Shares of Afria closing just down more than 8% after missing on EPS and revenue and lowering guidance, largely due to cannabis vaping products being temporarily banned in Quebec and Alberta. Those are two provinces that represent about a third of the population. Still, Afria's cannabis revenues, they increased by 9%, and it reported positive adjusted EBITDA for a third consecutive quarter. Encouraging signs leading to Jefferies to say that Afria is the top pick of those Canadian cannabis producers. Canaccord rates it as overweight. Cantor Fitzgerald as a speculative buy. During the day, the cannabis ETFMG up more than 2.5%. The sector falling more than 40% over the last year. So again, an encouraging sign today. The Canadian recreational market is projected to triple this year as vaping, edible, and drinkable products are on the shelves. Still, the industry faces two big issues that are actually pretty related. Competition with the black market. Those prices about 40% cheaper than legal recreational cannabis. Updated numbers are expected a week from today and will provide a lot of insight for investors. Also, store openings, another issue, especially in Ontario, where a third of Canadians live. Only 27 stores open right now. That could expand to as many as 250 by the end of the year. Still, the perception by company leaders and even analysts is there are just not enough stores to meet the demand up in Canada. Back over to you.
All right, Frank Holland. Frank, thank you very much. All right, staying with cannabis, we spoke earlier today with the new Tilray CEO on Power Lunch. Here's where he's looking for the next leg of growth.
There's a knowable global growth opportunity in terms of medical cannabis, where we'll go from 20% of the countries to 40, 50, 60% of the countries in the world that legalize it.
All right, before we go on, we just want to mention that Tim Seymour is all in on this space. He has long a number of names. He's a portfolio manager of a cannabis ETF, also sits on advisory boards for cannabis companies. And for all Tim's disclosures, you can get a fast.cnbc.com. All right, what's your take on Tilray and maybe what you heard from the new CEO?
So the Tilray story is they're moving in CPG, consumer packaged goods veterans, 25-year Revlon veteran, folks that have come from Crocs and other places into the C-suite. Make no mistake, cannabis is just a CPG story in disguise. It doesn't matter the underlying on some level. This is going to be about distribution. It's going to be about branding. It's going to be about all the things that some of the best consumer product companies in the world do. So that's where Tilray is positioning themselves. The good news here is that if you're thinking about the top kind of macro story, the addressable market in cannabis is growing. This is the good news. You may not get federal legalization in 2020, but look what happened with Illinois. They went full adult as of Jan 1. This has been an off-the-chart success. Cuomo last week made it very clear that New York wants to be fully adult by the end of 2020. That will have the entire East Coast ready to roll. The country, state by state, is moving to an entire open market, even if the federal's falling back. Bottom line, Brian, valuations didn't make sense a year ago. A lot of them still don't now, but you're seeing very clear separations. You can play relative value. You can pick winners here, and that's what the market's doing right now.
So what's interesting, you're also starting to see, and this is not to say that these are all speculative, but the market, the cannabis stocks were a speculative part of the market. And so you're starting to see people selectively come in this. So to the extent that this is an extension of everything that's going on in the market, it looks like people have come in here and said, you know what, we're going to pick the top two or three and play this for another run.